feel like certain families, it should be forgiven, like if they're living under like a certain poverty line or something.
It's not necessarily the question of, hey, I think so, if you take it out, you should pay it back. Maybe that's a part of it for you, but the question again is, should future student debt be forgiven? Okay, Jonah, you chose a 4, so you think that you agree, yes, to a certain extent, future student debt should be forgiven. Help us understand why.
I feel like certain families, it should be forgiven, like if they're living under like a certain poverty line or something. But like others, like the rich, I feel like they should have to like repay it because they have enough.
That is a well thought out answer. Good job. Okay, so yes, certain people that make good money should not have to, they should not get their loans forgiven, okay? But if you're below a certain poverty line, if you're not making that much money, you don't have that much money, you should get a percentage forgiven. Okay, we want to make sure we understand each thought on this. Would you like to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I don't know if like forgiving student debt is like the best way to like lower college costs. I feel like there probably is like other ways to like lower the costs, because I feel like, well, I guess college costs have gone up like a bunch more, like higher than inflation by a ton. So maybe there's like other reasons that it's rising, and then we can do like other stuff than just like forgiving the debt, I guess. But like find the root cause and then try to like, I don't know.
No, this is a very well thought answer. Again, we got back to back. Okay, so
like I guess it could like, you could like kind of like Medicaid. I guess you could like pay off of like lower income. I guess it could be a thing, but I guess I feel like maybe healthcare is a little bit more like essential than like college, but I don't know.
Okay. So did everybody hear his thought there? Okay, so we'll get to you once we give everybody a chance to give theirs, and we'll come back. So what he shared there are other ways he believes to help solve this problem. So he does not see this, and I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like you said, hey, college has gone way up, and forgiving student loans might not be the best way to solve this problem. That might not be the root of the problem. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the second point you made there was there's potentially other areas of government that we should focus on as if we're going to be, putting money towards it as a nation. We should potentially be focusing on other areas before this.
Sort of.
And so when you say sort of, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. Well,
It's okay.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
I'm not really sure.
Okay. It's fine.
Well, I was just thinking, so you, we're saying, oh, I need this amount of money for loans, and you put yourself into debt, but you said you're going to pay that off. So it's just you said you were going to do it, so it shouldn't just be forgiven. Because you went to college thinking, oh, I can pay this off, but then you just couldn't.
Okay, so you took on that obligation. It is your responsibility to pay it back.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Now, we're going to bounce back to this other side. You guys had a chance to hear what they said, okay? So if you were listening, paying attention, a few things they said. If you take that debt out, that's your responsibility, okay? Another piece, and what was your name again, sorry? Jason. That Jason said was, this might not be the root of the problem. There might be other areas of government that we should put money towards, okay? So those were a few different responses. There's rising education costs. This might not be the answer to the root of the problem. And then also, you took that out. That's your responsibility. Go ahead.
I agree with Mary on how if you're going into the situation, you should have the money prepared for it and know what's gonna happen, and have a future plan for your money. But at the same time, I think everybody should have an opportunity to get a better job, despite if you have not a lot of money or things like that. Everybody should just have an equal opportunity to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Things like that.
Okay, so how does that factor into forgiving student loans? So you believe everybody should have an equal opportunity, it sounds like, to pursue the profession that they want to pursue. This is a big point that you will see. Everyone should have, it's an opinion, right? Everyone should have the same opportunity to pursue whatever profession they want, including at the higher education level. Okay, so that is a thought that's out there. So that was a point that you were making. So again, thank you for sharing. Jonah, response to what they said.
I agree with Mary. I feel like you should have to repay it. But there's also certain families who like go through hard times and they just can't pay for it. So
Okay, so there are points in time where it's just, hey, you just don't have enough money. There's hard times. So give us some examples there.
like someone in the family, like they had like cancer and they had to get like treatment or something, they have to put that money towards that and wait to pay off the student loans.
Okay, so if there's some form of like a medical hardship,
Yeah.
then there should be some backdoor essentially to get the loans forgiven. Okay, we'll open it up here in just a second. We're going to hear their response first. I want to give them a chance to hear their response. So again, a couple things that were given there. So a couple responses. So there should be an opportunity for medical hardships, or let's just say poor financial situations, to where those folks can get student loans forgiven. Okay. The other point that was made there is everybody should be able to pursue higher education and pursue some form of pathway, some profession that they want, regardless of their financial standing. Okay? So those were the two counterpoints that were made to what you guys had to say. Go ahead.
So I guess for like people in like poor financial situations, I guess there's already like federal aid and for like those poor people, I guess already.
Yeah.
But I guess this would be an additional thing. I guess you could forgive that too. But I don't know.
Okay. So there are already programs set up, but this might be something else that we could attach into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if that's the case, where would you draw that line? And again, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here with that question, and it's not something you're thinking about on like a Saturday morning probably. But, obviously they have to draw this line somewhere. So with the program that was initiated, do you guys know the lines that they drew? I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest pieces just politically that passed through this year. There were some challenges, but it was a massive change here. Okay, so they said folks that make over $150,000, they will not get their loans repaid. I believe it was $150,000. Folks below can get that loan repaid. I think, if you want to double check the numbers on that, I think it's like 125 or 150, something like that. Okay, so just point being is there was a line that was drawn. Okay, and if you were married, I believe it was $250. So if you make $250,000 and above, you don't get your student loans forgiven, a chunk of it forgiven. If you're below that, you do. If you received a Pell Grant, do you guys know what a Pell Grant is? Okay.
125 and 250.
So it was 125. Okay. So 125 and 250. So 125,000 per person. If you're married, 250. So if you were below $250,000, you could get a chunk of your student loans forgiven, your federal loans. Okay. Above that, too bad. So they did put that line in place. It wasn't everyone. Okay. If you had a Pell Grant, which traditionally folks that get a Pell Grant have lower income situations financially, you could get more of your loans forgiven. So there were some lines that were drawn, okay? So I just wanted to make sure that that was understood, just to catch you guys up a little bit on that. Presley? Is it Presley?
Mary.
Mary, sorry, Mary. Presley was up last time. I mean, I would say the same thing. Wow, right?
Well, like personally, that's not exactly like equal still, because
Okay.
then the people, well, in mine, like my family, my mom, she was in like a more poor situation. She went to college, took out a loan, and then she got a job and then paid that off really quickly with her new job that paid a lot. And so I think it is possible to pay off your loans without without having it forgiven.
Okay, so it's possible to do it. Anybody should be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I guess how would we draw that line if, no, we shouldn't do this because people are lazy? How would we draw that line to determine whether or not people are being lazy?
Do you want me to hand it off or answer it?
It's up to you.
Okay, well, I feel like if you can look at a person's records and see okay, so has this person been applying themselves in their education? Have they been working hard for it? Can you see them working hard in other areas? Are they involved in extracurriculars? Is there I don't know if you could draw an exact line, but it's you can look at other things, not just them not paying off their debts.
Okay, we'll bounce it here.
I would say, like, if you're going to take out a student loan to go to college, you should probably be working hard to pay it off because you made a commitment then and there that you need to pay back that much money if you're going to go to college for that. Like I said before, like, you can have fun and get those experiences outside of college. Like, if you're going to go to college, you got to work and pay off your student loans if you're going to take it out. If you're going to take out money, it's not going to be given back to you for free. Like, if you just go to college and you party and then your family, you're from like a poor family. If you're from a poor family, you just get it paid right back to you. That doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to take out a loan to go to college, you should probably work to pay it back.
That's your responsibility.
Well, you made that commitment to go get an education.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
That's your commitment, that's
So-
your responsibility, you took it out, does not matter one way or the other.
Also, I feel like anybody, depending on what background they're from, can like there's a lot of stories of people coming from like super like poverty families, and now they're like making millions because they like applied themselves. So I feel
Okay,
like
so
that's
it is a work ethic's at the root of this. And if you take the loan out, you should pay it back, and it's ultimately decided by just how hard you're working, okay? I'm summarizing, let me know if I'm off at all in those summaries. I think we had a couple other thoughts, unless you wanted to add something real quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to go to college and you're just going to party and then not get like the consequences of your actions, if you're just going to party and you don't get an education, you don't get your degree, and you don't get a job to pay it back, like, okay, well, you still have to pay it back. You took the loan out. You just took out $60,000. It can't be just given back to you because you didn't work hard.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It's equal opportunity. Anybody who needs the money can get the loan to go get a degree.
Okay, so anybody can go get the loans. That certainly isn't the problem. You're right. They are easy to get, right? And if you take that out, it's your responsibility. I want to make sure, is there anybody up here hearing some of the thoughts? You're like, hey, I got something to say. Okay. Got a thought back here in the back corner.
Yeah, I guess like even if you can't afford to go to college, that's why you get the loan. You get the loan, then you get the job you want, and you pay off the loan with the money you got from that job.
Okay.
That's the whole reason you get the loan, so you can get that job.
Okay. So the reason why you get the loan is to get a better job. So if you were maybe up here for the first question, you would have said, yeah, purpose of college, to get a better job. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like that's the primary point you're making here. And if you get that job, it's your obligation to pay back that loan, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Another follow-up question to this. At what point, I guess if you're looking at just the student loan landscape and you're looking at all of these people with loans, okay? And the argument is there are people that cannot escape their loans. Are you guys familiar with how many people just don't pay back their loans and eventually default on it? Anybody know the numbers on it? Can we check that too?
Say that again.
What percentage of folks default on their loans and forgive them? I don't want to misquote, so we'll look that up. But if there's an argument that, hey, there's a huge chunk of society that just won't ever pay this back. They won't be able to escape it. They don't make enough money to catch up with the interest. So they are working. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they don't make enough money to pay back that student loan. Does that change any thoughts for you guys? We'll start down here because, again, you're closer to one. So either one of you can start if you'd like. So again, I would say a huge argument that you see is there are millions of people here in our country, and he's looking up the stat, that will not be able to ever pay back their loan because they don't make enough money to pay for it. So here's what happens. You take the loan out. What is attached to a loan? Starts with an I. Okay. And if that interest is compounding at a rate to where you don't have maybe the discretionary income to pay it off, there are some folks that say, I won't ever be able to catch up with it. It's got enough escape velocity to where I don't make enough money to pay it off. Does that change your guys' thoughts hearing that? And I'm just providing some opinions that are out there. Does that change your thoughts?
Not really. I think that college is risky sometimes, and taking out loans is also risky. And it just depends on what happens in your future, I guess.
Okay, so that's a risk. It's a risk that you got to be willing to take, and hey, that's something that you have to live with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you really want to go to college, then and you have to just be, well, you just have to know that there is a risk going to it.
Okay.
Taking out a loan for it.
You got to know that there's a risk going to, okay? So again, we'll come back to that question. Let's just say for a second, I'm representing folks over here and I'm saying, hey, I took out this loan because somebody promised me a better job. I have so much interest on this loan that I will never be able to have the discretionary income to pay it off. That's why student loans should be forgiven. This system told me that I would get a better job. I didn't get a better job on the other side of college, and now I can't pay back this loan. That's what someone would say on this side. You would hear that argument if they had a loan. That is one of the biggest arguments out there. How would you respond to that?
I'm not.
You can look at hypothetical me over there. I'm just kidding.
I'm not really sure.
That's okay. And we're putting you on the spot on this, okay? So it's not like, I don't expect everybody here to have like prepared answers and be like, yeah, I've been thinking about this my whole life. But it's good to think about these things, right? Okay? So again, I'm representing, and we had some thoughts out here from folks that said, hey, you take that loan out, you got to pay it back. So hearing that side of somebody saying, I was promised a better job, I got out, I'm not getting a better job, I can't make the payments, the interest is escaping me, I literally can't keep up with it, this loan will continue to compound for the rest of my life, I'll never be able to pay it back. How might you guys respond to that? Who would like to start?
Wait, can you repeat it?
Can you?
Okay, we'll go back, we'll repeat it again.
I wasn't ready.
No, it's okay, it's okay. And if you don't feel, and if either of you are like, hey, I don't know the answer to that, that's okay. That's totally okay. But again, the argument that would be given from people 4 to 5 years ahead of you, and probably beyond that, even 10, 20 years ahead of you. I was promised a better job. I went to college because I was promised a better job. I thought I could get a better job with a college degree. I took out this loan to go to college. I cannot pay back the loan. I don't make enough money to be able to pay back the loan. The interest is escaping me. The loan's compounding. I can't pay it back, okay? So we have a couple thoughts here. We'll start here first and we'll go over there.
You're not promised a better job.
Okay?
You're promised a degree. If you can't get the job, that's your own fault and implying, or maybe they won't get you the job. Maybe the opening's not there, but you're not promised a better job.
And what was your name again?
Christopher.
Christopher. Good response. Okay, did everybody hear Christopher's response?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a well thought out response. Repeat that again.
You're not promised a better job.
You are not promised a better job when you go to college. The promise is a degree if you apply yourself and go to class and finish out school.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I think you had a thought unless you still want to go?
So like, what's the?
I just invalidate something better.
Okay.
I really agree with what he said, where you don't, the world's not going to wait for you. You know, you're not really promised anything. And so I think banking off of one specific job to pay off a giant financial investment isn't really a smart thing to do. It's good to have a backup plan or something like that.
Okay.
Instead of just banking on one specific job to pay off such a huge amount of money.
Okay. Okay. And we'll go back to you guys on this. So did you hear those thoughts? Okay, so there was a couple thoughts out there that said, hey, Chris was kind enough to share, hey, you're not promised a better job. You're not promised the ability to pay off these loans. What you're promised is instead a degree, okay? So you guys still feel like there should be, and you can change at any point in time on this if you feel the need to, or if you're like, hey, no, I still feel like a certain chunk of student debt should be forgiven in certain situations. How would you respond to that? You're pointing at each other. Pointing at each other. And if you don't have a response to it, that's totally okay. No response to it. Okay, so would you stay then on 4 still?
Be like in the middle of 3 and 4.
Okay, so that moves you to 3, hearing out what he had to say.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so that would move you to 3 as well. Okay, thank you. Now, another just final question we'll do with this. Just a final question we'll do with this. Let's say you guys fast forward 4 or 5 years. Government comes in and they say, hey, we're going to forgive $20,000 of loans per person for previous borrowers. You're graduated. You have $50,000 in student loans. We're just assuming. Just play this hypothetical out. Does that change your thought process on it at all? Like, hey, they got their loans forgiven. What about me? Or is it, no, I never thought that should have happened in the first place. I got to pay this thing back. And I'm opening this up to anyone. So if you guys have a thought on that, you can share first because you guys are the primary speakers here. We'll go here first.
Do you want
Want me to say it
ask
again? Okay, so I'll restate it. Okay, so let's assume that this goes through, okay, the bill to forgive student loans. And we'll assume there are previous borrowers that get $20,000 repaid, some married couples that get $40,000 repaid. Okay, so they get their loans forgiven. Then what we're fast forwarding 4 years, you now have student loans. Assume you have student loans. Do you feel like you should have your student loans forgiven because previous borrowers got theirs forgiven? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like everybody kind of has a hope. Like, you might be like, oh, that would be really nice, like, for mine to be forgiven too, because this person had theirs. But, like, at the end of the day, you made a commitment, and that's still your commitment. It doesn't change just because, like, it changes for, like, someone else.
Thank you. Okay?
Yeah.
So you made that commitment. That's what you got to live with.
I don't see why they would like not give you 20,000 off your loan now because they gave it to everybody.
Say it again. Say
I
it a
don't
little
see
louder.
What was the point to give 20,000 off their loan if they're not going to give it to the people in the future?
Okay, so again, so why do they get theirs repaid? Why can't we get ours repaid type thing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that you should still have to pay off your loan, but if you're going to give 20,000 people off their loan, I wouldn't mind.
Okay, so if you're sitting there with $50,000 and somebody says, should you get your student loans forgiven? If we'll assume that previous borrowers got 20,000 of theirs forgiven, you would say, well, yeah, they got theirs forgiven, so why wouldn't I get mine?
Yeah, then I should.
Okay.
But if that had never happened, then I would say no.
Okay,
Not fully forgiven, just the same.
just the same. Okay, maybe inflation adjusted or something, right? Okay, thoughts on that? Okay, we got one more thought, then we're finishing up.
I mean, I'm not really sure about this, but I think that you would have to still pay it back in taxes, right?
Is it society, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, so the money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, and so people who maybe went to like a trade school or something would have to pay that tax even though they never went to college.
Correct, so that's raising a very good question here. What about the people that don't go to college? So if we're repaying debt for those that did, what about the people that didn't? Do we do anything for those people? And if we do, what do we do? Or do we just say, no, we don't do any of this? If you don't have a response on that, that's okay. But again, hey, most people aren't going to college and getting a student loan. There's a huge chunk that are. Is there somebody else?
Yeah, Grant.
Oh, Grant. Okay. So for the folks that say, hey, I said screw all that noise. I want to go into the trades because I can make money right away. I don't have to take out debt. I can go become an electrician, a lineman. I mean, I used to meet with linemen. I can tell you, they make good money. They make good money. And they would look at this and say, well, that's stupid. Why do they get money back? Why don't I get money back?
Yeah, it really
Maybe not all of them, but a huge chunk of
isn't.
them.
I don't like to really say fair because nothing's really fair completely, but it doesn't really make sense that you have to pay essentially, not directly, indirectly pay for someone else's college that now they're saying, no, they don't have to pay for that, right?
Okay. So you see this and you look at it and you say, yeah, like, no, I don't think we should repay student loans because there's a lot of people that don't go to college and we're not helping them out. We're only helping out the people that are going to college and making this commitment. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Is there anything, final question, is there anything here that would make you change your stance? We'll start here and we'll pass it down one by one. Is there any data, thoughts, anything that you could see that would make you change your mind from a 1?
Probably not, but I wouldn't know for sure unless I encountered that.
Unless you saw the data?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't think I would change my opinion or stance on it.
No data, no different thoughts, anything you could see that would change?
I mean, if I did see like data, then maybe, but
Okay. Okay,
it just depends.
If there was some supporting data, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I'm just like going back and forth from 3 and 4, because like the points that Jonah made about like what if like something happens like in the family and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think I'd just like from what he was saying, just back and forth.
Okay, so there are certain difficult situation, hardship. Do you guys agree there's different difficult situations? Everybody encounters some form of hardship. The question is the severity of it, right? And what you're saying is, yeah, certain hardships are severe enough that we should repay a little bit of that, okay? And Jonah?
What she said.
Okay, that's what she said. Okay, all righty. Thank you. Give it up for our volunteers, even though you kind of